Hey, good evening, guys. Thank you so much for coming out and joining us here at Calvary Chapel, Dayton Valley. This evening is for you. The whole idea of this evening is really very, very simple. The idea behind this is for us to get to know those who want to represent us, those that want to take and stand in that place of service and honor to be able to take and represent the citizens of Lyon County and for the state as well. And so we've invited those, as many as we could, to come. These are those that have shown up, so everybody give them a hand because they're here. A few of them that could not come have sent somebody in their behalf, and so that's acceptable. We'll let them do that, and we'll think that that's a good thing. What I'd like to get you to do, if you would, indulge me for a moment, because I'm a pastor. I'm going to ask for a word of prayer and blessing over this assembly. Heavenly Father, God, we come before you, and Lord, we thank you for the opportunity that you've given us to live in a country that gives us and grants us a right and a voice. And so, Lord, we ask that this evening, as we would take and we would apply ourselves to learning and to understanding, Lord, that we would do so in such a way that honors you. So, Lord, take everything in this evening and appreciate it for your power, for your wisdom, for your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I want to introduce to you Jim Davis. Jim Davis heads up the Citizens Impact team that is located here at Calvary Chapel, and he is going to be our MC and moderator tonight. So, Jim, introduce yourself.
Meant to be able to take notes on. So if someone says something or if you have a question for someone, you can jot it on this sheet here. We also have this little sheet, and every candidate at their table has a little envelope where you can drop this sheet in, and it's intended if you have a question, a suggestion, an encouragement, a prayer, a thank you, that kind of thing, you can jot it on this little sheet, and it'll go directly to the candidate. With that, I'd like to kick things off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We have a number of candidates here that will be speaking and answering questions tonight. Each will be introduced as they speak. We didn't want to take the time for longer introductions out of the opportunity to hear them speak. Additionally, we have Justice of the Peace, Camille Vecchiarelli. Camille, she's right here. She's running for that position unopposed. And we have a couple of campaign tables in the lobby without a representative here. That's Mark Amadei running for U.S. Representative, but he couldn't be here tonight since he's in Washington, D.C. About the format tonight, we have limited time, and we'll be implementing this with certain time restrictions on the questions. Each candidate, upon making their statement, will have 2 minutes for that on the topic of their choice. Then we'll have a few questions for the candidates who will have 1 minute to respond to moderator questions. We want to keep the tone here very civil. I would like to have you hold your applause until someone is done speaking and not have any cheers or boos. We want to respect all these candidates and their willingness to move into public service and tell us more about them as they seek election. Not seated on the stage is Sherry Parson, school board candidate who is recovering from surgery. And so she has a little mobility scooter for right now, and this makes it easiest for her to be here, and she'll be speaking from her location there in the front row. I'd like to start off with Colin Brown, who's representing Sam Brown, candidate for U.S. Senator. 2 minutes.
Hey everybody, my name's Colin Brown. I'm the Northern Nevada Field Director for the National Republican Senatorial Committee supporting the Sam Brown campaign. It's an honor to be here tonight. Thank you to the event organizers. This is an amazing event. So I'm just gonna be really brief. There's a lot of candidates up here who have a lot of great things to say. I'm sure everyone in this room knows it's of paramount importance that we elect Sam Brown. This election is historic for a few reasons. So for the first, this could decide the Senate majority. Obviously, everyone in this room wants a Republican Senate majority, and that probably will be decided in Nevada. So we need to get everyone out to vote for Sam for that reason. Second reason is that the state of the country and the state of Nevada is not the best at the moment, and that's due to the failed leadership of Jackie Rosen and Kamala Harris. So we need to get Sam in there, replace the corrupt politicians in Washington, the career politicians like Jackie Rosen, and it's time for a change, right? Captain Sam Brown has sacrificed so much for this country, and he will represent the people of Nevada really well in Washington. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we don't have questions for you, so
Great.
You're not the candidate, and
We've got one over here.
well, we're going to do moderator questions tonight. So thank you for being here and representing Sam Brown.
Thank you.
Next, we have 4 people running for seats for the Nevada State Assembly. For District 39, we have Ken Gray and Eric Obermeyer competing for that seat. And I'd like to ask Ken Gray to come up. And Ken Gray has 2 minutes for a statement.
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you to Calvary Chapel. It has always been a mission of mine to get God back into the public square, and I really, really thank them for taking a stand and getting the church congregations back involved in politics. You know, there's this misnomer of, separation of church and state. No, it's not a separation of church and state. That's not in the Constitution. I like to see it. I mean, I think churches should actually be making recommendations. And you know what? If the IRS takes your tax exempt number, takes your tax exempt, okay, fine. That's the cost of doing business. But we need to let people know who the most godly choice is in every race. So we try and maintain this republic of ours. I'm Ken Gray. Obviously, I think most of you guys know me. I've lived in the district for 24 years now, actually in Dayton now for 22. I am a natural fighter. I spent 26 years in the service. And this was just an extension of fighting for what I believe in. I'm pro-God, pro-family, pro-Trump. For those of you guys that don't know, I was the first and only elected official in Nevada to endorse President Trump last year for the first 6 months before anybody else decided to come out from underneath a rock. I didn't care if it was the hard decision. I like making those hard decisions. I don't mind standing alone and fighting. I don't mind standing up to my caucus. You all heard of Republicans in name only? Yep. Have you ever heard of a Democrat in name only? Probably not, because their leadership does not allow it. You cannot be an individual in there. And I think that'll be a huge difference between myself and my opponent is I'm willing to stand up on what I believe in. And going back to that, I think some of you may or may not know, one of the very first things I did in office when I became a county commissioner was to get invocations back into our meetings because we need God to oversee us and our government. And that's where I stand. And I like I said, truly believe in our country and what I'm doing. I've raised 2 daughters here in Dayton, both of which have served or are serving in the United States military. Oldest one was in the Navy, and youngest one is a second lieutenant in the United States Army now. So thank you guys very much. And can I just say one thing? Eric Obermeyer, he's a good guy. I've known him a long time, and you will never hear me say anything bad about my opponent because he is honestly a good guy.
Well, this good guy had originally planned to use this time to go through my biography, but I'm 76 years old and we don't have time for that. So I want to just cut to the chase here and go right to one of my primary issues and primary reasons for running for the state assembly. Is I believe that we need to change our primary system so that nonpartisans can participate in the primaries. And my plan would be, and this is let me be clear, this is not ranked choice voting, which I'm opposed, which I'm against. This is not open primaries, which I'm also against. What it is if you're a nonpartisan voter, come primary day, you go to your polling place and you can just ask, I'll take a Republican ballot, I'll take a Democratic ballot. For the mail-in stuff, you'll get your ballots in the mail, and then you just decide as a nonpartisan which ballot you want to fill in. So I have also known Ken for a long time. As a county commissioner, he's always been there, so thanks.
Thank you very much, Eric. Now we have two candidates running for District 40, Catherine Ramsey and P.K. O'Neill. First, we'll hear from Catherine Ramsey.
All right, we're live. I am ecstatic to see so many people here tonight. The energy and enthusiasm, the turnout that we've seen in our country, especially in our state here in Nevada, is wonderful. To see a wide range of ages. Most of the events I've attended in Carson, everyone is retired or mostly retired. We need to make sure that we're reaching our 20-year-olds, our 30-year-olds, our 40-year-olds, that they know that their vote is important, that they have a say in what happens in their country. A little bit about me. I run a trucking company based here in Nevada. We've been here for 4 years. My dispatcher, Richard, has been here for a little over 20. He talked us into basing the company out here because it's very business friendly. I work with a wide range of people. I am a Christian, but I work with a lot of people who are very angry as they drive around the nation during the day. Work with all flavors, all brands, everyone to get the job done. Even though I'm running as a Democrat, I believe in nonpartisanism. I believe in building bridges and making sure that we do the job. Since we just have 2 minutes, one thing I wanted to make sure I said today is pray for your leaders. The Bible has that pretty clearly in the Old Testament there, but I think it carries through for all of us, regardless of how you feel about anybody in office. Remember to pray for them. They need it. Discernment, wisdom, patience, and grace towards each other to try to serve you. That is the end game, to be a public servant. So thank you for your time tonight, and especially for coming out in this wonderful weather.
Thank you very much. Next to speak will be Kevin McGee, a representative for P.K. O'Neill.
All right, I think we're good. Can you hear me? All right, Assemblyman O'Neill apologizes he couldn't be here, so I'll be brief. I am the Chief of Staff for the Assembly Republican Caucus, so Assemblyman O'Neill's kind of pulling double duty. He represents District 40, which if any of you are from Carson or Story or even a little sliver down at the bottom of Washoe. But in addition to that, he's the minority Republican caucus leader. So he kind of takes upon the responsibility of shepherding the other assembly members, such as Assemblyman Gray, which kind of puts him as, representative for all Republicans across the state, or really all people across the state, because at the end of the day, we're trying to have good representation. So again, I just want to emphasize, there's a lot of people in this room. He really, when I talk to him, he's going to be really sorry he couldn't make it. He loves nothing more than to get out and talk to people like you. It's really encouraging to see this many people in a room, and hopefully most of you get out and vote. really, people say this every time. It's an important election cycle. We just got a Republican governor elected, but in the legislature, the Democrats have near total control. In the assembly, they have the supermajority, but just by 1 seat. So we're working our darndest to get out of that and pick up a couple of seats. The more the merrier, but at least picking up 1 seat. So we could use everyone's help. We could use everyone's vote. And if you have any questions, our table's out there. If you think of something later, email us, or when we do Q&A later, I'll take a question. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Now in the next session here, we'll have 1 minute to answer a couple of questions. We'll ask 2 of them to each candidate or representative, and then we'll move on to the next one. I'd like to ask Ken Gray. No. One of the items on the ballot this year is question 6. If approved, it would expand abortion access in Nevada and move it from statute law and elevate it to be part of the Nevada Constitution. Do you support or oppose this, and why?
Plain and simple. I stand opposed to abortion in just about every single format, unless you can absolutely tell me, which nobody's ever been able to, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the mother's life is in jeopardy, because I don't even think that's a valid answer anymore, because they can deliver babies so early and they would be viable. My mother, and I don't hide anything, my mother was a single mother with 4 kids, separated from her husband, got pregnant with me. I wouldn't be standing here today if she had done what her family wanted her to do. They really wanted her to abort me. And I like to think that I've done good things in my life. I've got great kids, great family. I've done things that I am truly proud of and I think have made this world a better place. And I could never, ever support abortion. And putting it in our Constitution is wrong, especially when it already enjoys, if I can use that word, basically constitutional protection now, because the voters in this state decided that many years ago. So absolutely no way. It is ungodly and it is just wrong, especially when you look at little ones like that right there and you see those little toes and you think that people want to stop that.
Thank you. Next up for the same question. Is Eric Obermeyer. I'll repeat the question briefly. Regarding question 6, if it approved, it would expand abortion access in Nevada and move it from statute law and elevate it to be part of the Nevada Constitution. Do you support or oppose this, and why?
Yes, I'll be voting for number 6, because a woman's choice, a woman's control over her own health care is none of the government's business. I've heard many arguments about, well, there's 2 schools of thought about abortion, one of them being that life begins at conception. In that case, this is one of many definitions of life. And the other thing that people end up talking about is setting some kind of artificial time limit before which this embryo is not a person, and then after it is. Now, what I'm saying is, those 2, if you believe that life begins at conception, then there's absolutely no room for any exceptions whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Next up on this same, Ken, we're going to do this same question for the other candidates. I appreciate your enthusiasm. So next up on this same question about question 6 and putting abortion into the state constitution in Nevada, we'll hear from Catherine Ramsey.
Still alive? Sorry. I believe that this issue is a deeply personal issue for the women that have to endure it. I believe that we live in a broken world and that we can't legislate that topic. I will vote to enshrine it in our Constitution, so that it can't be changed at a whim. Roe v. Wade started the year that I was born. My mother could have aborted me and chose not to. We struggled immensely, my brother and myself, because my father was not part of the picture. I am very grateful that God is my father, but not everyone has that option. We need to support the women that have to make this choice. We need to love them through it. And I believe that that's what we're called to do.
Thank you very much. Next on this same question is Kevin McGee, a representative for PK O'Neill.
Not being not being the assemblyman himself, I would imagine he's not going to vote for this. I know that our stance on the Republican caucus is that largely this vote is kind of a gimmick by the Democrats to put it on the ballot. It's already, as Assemblyman Gray said, been voted on by the people. It's in not the Constitution, but it does require a vote of the people to either change, remove, or if that's the will of the people. So this vote is largely a gimmick to get Democrats to turn out, because we feel they really don't have a whole lot to run on. So,
thank you very much. So this next question, we'll mix up the order a little bit on, but the question is fairly broad, and it is, what is the greatest issue facing Nevada? And if elected, what would you do to address it? We'll start with Catherine Ramsey.
Major issues in Nevada: affordable and low-income housing. We're last in education, and we're currently experiencing a great deal of mental health issues. So for purposes of 60 seconds regarding education, I believe that I'm a mom to 6 kids in a blended family. They've all gone on different pathways. I have a HVAC young man. I have one that's a geologist studying in Singapore, and I have an 11-year-old who is not going to be a college student. I believe that we need to get our trades back in school. We need to get them back in as quickly as possible: car mechanic, construction worker, masonry, everything in between. And we can do that fairly quickly.
Thank you very much. Next up, Kevin McGee for PK O'Rourke. And it's 1 minute.
Education is the biggest issue facing Nevada right now. We're pretty much dead last in all the metrics. I would say the economy, but the economy is downstream from education. We don't have an educated, skilled workforce that we need. So we passed a historic budget, us along with the governor, increasing education funding, but along with that came a bunch of accountability metrics. So we gave them the money they asked for, but now we need to see the test scores, the graduation rates. We need to see the quality go up. So that's the biggest issue facing Nevada.
Thank you very much. We'll hear from Eric Obermeyer on this question about the greatest issue facing Nevada, and if elected, what would you do to address it?
This 1 minute thing makes it like speed dating. Anyway, the biggest change facing Nevada is, or the biggest thing facing Nevada is change. The climate's changing. We need to address that. Technology is changing. We need to educate our kids and our students so that they can adapt and function in a world where we're going to have to be dealing with artificial intelligence. With respect to the climate changing, District 39 is actually the Lake District, because we're Lake Tahoe up here, Topaz Reservoir down here, and Lahontan Reservoir over here. So these three lakes provide irrigation water, recreation. We've got to be alert to the effects of climate change. We have to address the immediate effects that are affecting this lake district, and then we also have to address the long-term effects and stop pumping carbon into the atmosphere.
Thank you, Eric. When Eric was speaking, I did hear a little bit of a murmur in the audience, and I'd like you to just hold that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You said I got 2 hours, right, Jim?
2 hours or 1 minute.
Alrighty, where do I begin? There's so much out there, but I think it can all be summed up in the woke agenda. The woke agenda is driving everything right now. It is affecting our economy. It's affecting our students. It's affecting our day-to-day lives. If nothing else doesn't prove to you that mental illness is a real thing, look around and look at what the woke agenda is driving. They're normalizing mental illness. Abortion. We're talking about SJR 6, which I believe life begins at conception. That heartbeat, Gary, we were there last week. That heartbeat starts at 21 days. 21 days, that has a heartbeat. And that baby is infused with a soul at conception, I believe. There are just so many things that are being driven by that agenda that we have got to fight back against. And I am not afraid to keep fighting it. I fought against the same-sex bathrooms last year and kept that out of the school district in Douglas County. I fought against so many things. I was the lone man standing. I'm not afraid to do that. If God has put me in this position to fight, I'm gonna fight. I'm not afraid to do it, and you can fire me tomorrow if I do something wrong. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we'll move on to the office of County Commissioner for District 1. Running for that office, unopposed, is John Casanelli. He'll have 2 minutes for his statement.
Good evening. Thank you. And thank you to Calvary Chapel for putting this together. And thank you all for coming out here tonight. I am John Casanelli. As you mentioned, I'm running unopposed for District 1 County Commissioner. Very blessed to be running unopposed, and I know it. So, but anyway, I'm not as old as Mr. Obermeyer, so I'll give you some of my bio. I am fifth generation Nevadan, Northern Nevadan, with over 30 years here in Dayton. I have 2 adult kids that went to school here in Dayton from preschool all the way through high school. And I'm a contractor by trade. I have our family business, Casanelli Landscaping and Construction. I'm the owner-operator. It's going into its 50th year next year. 30 years under my leadership. Very proud of that. We went from, extreme growth all the way down through the recession, came out of the recession, diversified. So I've got a lot of experience on boards. I have 4 years experience on the Lyon County Planning Commission. I was on the Dayton Regional Advisory Board, 4-year term on the Comstock Historic District Commission. I'm 8 years president of the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce, currently the president of the Mason Valley Boys and Girls Club. So lots of board experience, lots of budget experience. Very happy to be here tonight. Looking forward to be the county commissioner, and any questions, I'm happy to take care of that for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. John, you're still up. So for John, we have one question, but we're asking for 2 answers. So we'll have 2 minutes for the combined answers. Lyon County faces a number of issues, including increased population, water access, safety and maintenance of roads and highways, crime, flooding, and others. What do you see as the top 2 issues, and how would you address them?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, actually would have been earlier tonight if we had a second bridge. But anyway, I would say the Highway 50 corridor is definitely a big issue for us. We know growth is coming. Everybody's concerned with the growth, but if you look at the patterns, the growth is happening, but it's happening at a pretty slow rate. So, but we have to keep up with that. Highway 50 corridor through Dayton and Mound House is a huge priority. I'm looking forward to possibly getting assigned to the Campo board and working with NDOT and try and get that straightened out. I don't agree with the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit that they're proposing there. I'd like to go back to the plan they had about 15 years ago. My business was located in Mound House for over 20 years, And we had a NDOT representative that had a plan with frontage roads where they could be high T intersections, limited left turns. I know we need some lights. We are getting a light right here at Traditions very soon. So there are improvements coming, but it does take time, especially with NDOT.
Thank you. Since this is a two-part answer, your first issue was Highway 50 corridor. What's your second important issue that you would try to address?
Well, we know the growth is coming. There's not a lot that we can do as a community because, you know, the property owners have a right to develop their property. We just have to stay ahead of that development, make sure it's done smart. We want to make sure that the infrastructure keeps pace with the development as it occurs. And, you know, they're doing better job with that now. They're holding the developers' feet to the fire. And you know, I'm in the construction trades. I was 20 years on the board of directors for the Nevada Builders Association, past president of that association, and still on their leadership council. So, you know, I do know a lot of developers. I'm not a developer myself, but their feet are being held to the fire. Trust me, I hear about it all the time. They're paying for improvements to our sewage systems, our treatment plants. So they are being held accountable better now than they were years past. So hopefully we can learn from the mistakes that they made in the development in the early 2000s that went unchecked, and do it a little bit better as we go forward and make sure that infrastructure keeps pace with our development as it occurs.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to school board statements. And since none of you have had an opportunity to speak yet, I just wanted to draw your attention to the little timer placards in the front row that will tell you how much time that you have left. So statements first. We're going to start with District 1, which represents Fernley and part of northern Lyon County. I'd like to ask Sherry Parsons to speak for 2 minutes on that issue.
Let me see.
All right, making the U-turn now.
Okay. First, did you hear him? 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. First, I'd like to say God bless America, and especially our children. And I've been on the board coming up on 8 years, and it was pretty lonely after John Stevens left and Chuck Shirley, because there was, we kind of looked out for each other in different ways, but the board has changed. And that's how come when these new people who I've seen in the audience asked if they, you know, if I could be on their card, I said yes, because Mr. Hendricks and I, we're the lone two people now, and we need help. And so we don't have the majority, and so when you're looking at that card, take a good look at the three of us, because we want the majority. We want to give parents back their rights. We want to give citizens back their rights. They have, with their majority, they have made it so no longer can you make a telephone call and say, approximately what time is this issue going to be up? You can't do that anymore, because the only time they're letting the citizens speak on things that they want is at the very end. So you can like talk at, oh, I have to stop. Okay.
Thank you very much. Next up would be also vying for the trustee position for District 1 would have been Shauna Schroeder. We expected her here tonight, but for some reason she is unable to be here. So we'll move on to District 3, and District 3 represents part of Dayton, and I'd like to bring up Don Carson.
You're a little tall. Hello. Hello? Okay. Hello, my name is Don Carson. I am running for school board, and I am a math teacher at Carson High School. So I know what it's like to be in the classroom and what's going on, and I am seeing what's happening in our schools right now, and it's very sad to see. We need to get back to the basics in school again. We need to get back to math, reading, and English, and writing. When I teach math, and when they come into my class, I teach juniors in high school, and I ask them to tell me what 2 times 3 is, and they can't tell me the answer. That is a problem. To me, I think that the kids need to just learn the basics in school again. We need to get away from the Common Core that we had before and get back to the basics, memorizing multiplication tables, learning how to write correctly, read correctly, be up to date in their area. We need to help the teachers in the way of resources. What do they need for the elementary school to help the kids get back to where they need to be? The other thing I'm very happy with, need is safety. What's happened lately is we had in May a chance to get single point entry completely ready for the schools, and we only voted on the border of the fences and not the safety of the doors and people coming into the schools completely, and we need to get that on the board again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next candidate for District 3 representing part of Dayton is Phil Cooey.
So thank you, Gary, for inviting us all out and putting together this forum. I think it's really important that we get to know our candidates. So just a little bit about myself. I'm a 6th generation Nevadan. I'm actually a Lyon County resident of Nevada. So my family were some of the original founders into the Mason and Smith Valley. Been married to my wife, Cassandra, for 24 years. We have 5 kids, 3 still in the school system and 2 that have successfully navigated through it and gotten out. One of my passion projects that I love to see on the board is CTE, so Career Technical Education. I think our district does a really good job of promoting that and trying to build those programs for our kids. The data shows that if kids are passionate about something, they want to do it. And the graduation rate in Lyon County is much higher for our CTE students than our general population. So that makes it look like if we give kids a reason to come to school, they're going to come to school and really want to do well. I also sit on the board of Northern Nevada Development Authority, which is the development agency that represents Lyon County. So with that, I get to talk to a lot of businesses that are not only currently in our county, but a lot of businesses that are coming into our county. Last week, I went out to the Victory Logistics Center. So if any of you guys aren't familiar with that, that's out in Fernley. They're building a bunch of buildings. One of the things that they want to do is actually set up a 10 classroom facility within their building so that they will help educate our Lyon County students and also work in conjunction with WNC. So it's important when you vote for school board members that you also vote for those that have those connections in our communities and know our communities and can help get our graduates long-term employment. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, candidate running unopposed for District 5, which is the southern part of the county, Elmer Bull.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. For the record, my name is Elmer Bull. I'm running for the Lyon County School Board, representing District 5, which represents Mason Valley and Smith Valley. Just a brief bio about myself. I'm a native Nevadan, born and raised in Gardnerville. My wife Kim and I have lived in Yerington now for about 31 years. Our kids graduated from Lyon County schools over there, and we currently have a 10-year-old grandson that's a 5th grader at Yerington Intermediate School. I've been asked, one of the toughest questions I've gotten at a meet and greet was somebody came up and said, "Why should I vote for you?" And that's sometimes when you get hit right between the eyes with something like that, it's like, wow, where do I start, you know? But anyway, I'm deeply concerned about the status of public education in the U.S. and including Nevada and Lyon County. There are a number of things that have piqued my interest over time. I've never been involved in politics or run for an office, but I see a need now to address some things in our school system. Not that everything is bad. There's some good things going on in our schools now, but I'm concerned about the ever-present need to monitor the curriculum that is being presented to our children. I think that's something that we've got to keep an eye on continuously. I'm worried about the lack of discipline in the schools. Some of the stories that I'm hearing from teachers about the physical and verbal abuse that they're experiencing is completely and absolutely unacceptable. And I don't know how the best way is to address that. The district has a discipline policy, but I don't know how effective it is because there's still a lot of bad things going on. I'm concerned about cell phones. I talked to looks like I got stopped. All right, but thank you.
A candidate for District 7, which is part of Fernley and part of northern Lyon County. We'll hear from Neil McIntyre.
All right, thank you and good evening. I want to thank you guys for hosting this meet and greet. It's been an excellent way to get our word out, so I appreciate that. So my name is Neil McIntyre. I'm the second. I am a 5th generation Nevada. I'm actually 5th generation Fernley, not too many other places. I went through the school system, K through 12. Obviously, we were a lot smaller back there. I graduated in 96. My dad graduated in 74. My mom graduated in 75. My grandfather graduated in 52. My grandmother. So I have numerous families that went through the school system. So that is why it is super important to me. I've been in Fernley my whole life, been there 47 years. I got 2 kids currently in school right now, and I hit the whole spectrum of my kids hit all sides of the school system. My 14-year-old right now is a freshman in high school. She's my special needs girl. And I say special needs, but she's just special. I mean, this girl's the kindest one there is, and the schools are doing a great job with our special needs kids, which is awesome. We always have room for improvement. Then on the other side of the spectrum, I have my 12-year-old who just went into 7th grade, and she's so smart that she gets bored at school. So we're trying to capture all that with my own kids, and I had a son graduate 2 years ago from Fernley High School. So I have a lot of skin in the game. I got family members that are teachers. I got family members that work for the school system. And so I care deeply about my community. I care deeply about our kids. I've been a coach for youth programs from football to wrestling, basketball, soccer. If you name it, my kids were in it. I wanted to be involved, and I wanted to be part of the solution. I don't like people being part of the problem, just complaining all the time. So that's why I ran for the school board. I wasn't elected the first time I ran. But the guy that was elected rescinded it 2 months into it, and I was appointed by the board. So I missed out on my first appointment. Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. McIntyre. And next up with a statement, 2-minute limit for school board candidate for District 7, James Whistler.
Nope. Saving the best for last, I guess. I'm a little more. There we are. All right, I'm James Whistler. Thank you for having us here. I know everyone's been saying that, but it is an honor to be here to talk to everybody. I am a 23-year veteran of the Navy. I moved here after I retired out of San Diego, and I didn't think I'd ever end up in a small town in Nevada. I didn't know what I was going to do. A good friend of mine works down at Amentum. Our Top Gun, as everyone knows it, said, hey, come work with us, so I did. I met my wife, who was a teacher in Lyon County School District after I got out here. I now have 4 stepsons and 2 nieces in the school system right now. My wife is a teacher, and my mother-in-law is a teacher in this school district, so I do have a lot of reason to be up here. One of my biggest reasons is this is what I want to see at a school board. This right here. Parents coming, parents being involved, knowing that you have school board that is not just listening, but hearing what you want. I can listen all day long, but I need to hear what you want. These are your children as much as my children. We need to give them a better education. We need to make sure that there is no bullying from teachers, other students. We need to make sure our teachers are safe and that they know if they are hit by a student, the admin will have their back. Okay? My other thing is making sure we can retain teachers, bringing teachers here, and pulling them from other places to come to this wonderful district to help us educate our children and send them out into the real world. I thank you for being here, and God bless everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Whistler. I heard again during that someone make a bit of an outburst, and we're just, whether you agree with the candidate or not, we're going to ask you to hold that down, and if you want to applaud them at the end, that'll be great. We've heard from a number of people about their longevity here in northern Nevada, or say places like Fernley. I met a friend recently who's from Maine, but he's not a Mainer. He tells me that in Maine there's a high standard for being a Mainer. You have to be born in Maine. You have to have never left Maine your whole life. And then when you die, you can be a Mainer. If you die in Maine. So we'll move on to the section where we have some questions for the candidates. We developed a list of 12 questions about school policy that we feel are important about board member candidates. Each of the candidates was sent the questions about 2 weeks ago, and some have answered and some have not. So we'd like to run through these questions very quickly and to collect the rest of the responses if we can. I'm going to ask you to just do a show of hands on whether you support or oppose each one of these items. And if you neither support or oppose, just don't raise your hand, and that'll be fine as well.
Every candidate?
No, this is for school board candidates. So, number 1, a policy regarding enforcing suspension and/or expulsion as a consequence for serious behavior violations. I'd like to see hands of those in support of that policy. And I'd like you to keep the hands up for just a moment because people might be taking notes. And apparently there's none opposed. Thank you very much. Number 2, removing books and materials from classrooms and school libraries that contain obscene sexual content. Those in support? What's the definition of that? And those opposed? I guess that's a question that happened many years ago when someone answered, I can't exactly define it, but I'll know it when I see it. So it might be up for a school board policy to define what that is. I mean, we already have policy that. Number 3, restricting student access to restrooms, locker rooms, showers, and sports teams to the one that matches their biological sex rather than their gender identity or expression. Those in support of that policy? And those opposed? Thank you. Number 4, training staff and students in diversity, equity, and inclusion, or similar content under different names. Those in support? This would be a policy training staff and students in diversity, equity, and inclusion, or similar content under different names. So this would be a policy implementing training in those subjects. So those in support of implementing training in DEI, raise your hands. Those opposed? Thank you very much. Number 5, a policy obtaining parent or guardian permission before a student receives any medical treatment, non-academic counseling, or sex education, including discussions about gender identity. That's kind of a long one, I'll read it again. Policy of obtaining parent or guardian permission before a student receives any medical treatment, non-academic counseling, or sex education, including discussions about gender identity. So those in support of obtaining parent or guardian permission, and those opposed to obtaining parent or guardian permission?
So I'm looking, can I just comment real quick? So what are the kids being abused?
We're going to move on to the next question. Number 6, restricting cell phone access during the school day and enforcing this policy district-wide. Those in support of restricting cell phone access? And I see all the hands, none opposed. Number 7, funding increased security and implementing single-point entry for all schools in the district. Those in support? And I see all the hands went up, so there's none opposed. Number 8, restoring public comment to occur during each agenda item at the school board meeting. Those in support of restoring public comment at agenda items? And those opposed? Number 9, using standardized test scores as the criteria for measuring success compared to other districts nationwide and publishing the results. Those in support of using standardized test scores as a criteria for measuring success. And those opposed to using standardized test scores. Thank you very much.
Can I make a comment too real quick?
Yes.
So when we're saying high school proficiency for Nevada, and we're telling everybody that Nevada's terrible, so just realize that in Nevada, 100% of our students take the ACT test, and in California, 4% of their students take the ACT test. So we're supposed to compare Nevada to California when we're taking 100% of our students, and they're taking 4% of their top students that want to go on further.
So this is a general comment about standardized testing, not the ACT test or any particular test. Number 10, creating performance standards for teachers and administrators and sharing the results publicly. All those in favor of creating performance standards? And those opposed to creating performance standards and sharing them? this is just a general format question to get a sense of where someone's at on a particular topic. There's not any specific wording proposed here. All right, number 11, requiring teachers and staff to use a student's preferred pronouns against that teacher or staff's religious convictions. Supporting requiring teachers to use that language, and opposed to requiring teachers to use that language. Number 12, our final question in this series, standing up to the state or government agencies if they pass down unconstitutional laws or mandates. Those in favor of standing up to the state, and those opposed, wait, 1 minute. I want to make sure we get that recorded right. And those opposed to standing up to the state agencies. This isn't advocating breaking the law. This is a general sense of where your mind is at about how you would like to implement the school district. All right, we're going to move on to some follow-up questions on this topic where you'll have an opportunity to expand on this beyond just the raising of hands. Each of you will have 1 minute to respond to these questions. And again, these are not new questions. These are still from this series of 12 that you've had for a couple of weeks. In the area of parents' rights, we ask if you would support or oppose obtaining parent or guardian permission before a student receives any medical treatment, non-academic counseling, or sex education, including discussions about gender identity. Please, when you come up, remind us of what your response is on that position, and then elaborate on why you have that position. First up is James Whistler.
All right, that is kind of a broad question. Where I stand on that is if it comes down to if teachers or counselors are talking to students about anything that can change their gender or any other medication that is out of the ordinary, I am against that. If it's a CPR moment or, the kid needs his insulin shot or any EpiPen or anything like that, that's an understandable because that's a life-saving thing. So I am for something like that. Plus, you have children that are abused, and sometimes calling the parents is not always the best thing. If we notice that, that is where we need to get the law involved as well. So as long as it is nothing that has to do with the child, anything that is out of the ordinary where parents should know about it, I am absolutely opposed to it. But your basic medical stuff, I'm okay with.
Thank you. Next up, Neil McIntyre. Please remind us of what your position on this and then why you have that position.
Pretty much the same as Mr. Whistler over here. I mean, I think parents should be asked certain questions as long as it pertains to the school that they're in and where they're at. Any personal permissions that they need for anything on their private side of their life, I mean, that needs to stay at home. These kids and some of these grades are confused enough as it is, and the last thing we need to do is aid that.
Very much. And next on this question, Elmer Bull. Please let us know your position and why you have that position.
I certainly believe that that the parents should be advised in most of the situations that you described there before anything is done or said to their children about that. Obviously, in the situations where emergency treatment is necessary for children, that it needs to be done. Anything to do with discussions about sexual orientation and some of those kinds of things, the parents should definitely be advised and should be required to give consent before any of that is done.
Thank you very much, Elmer Bull. Next up on that question, Phil Cooey.
Opposed to the way that question was asked. Obviously, I believe that parents should be given, they need to be notified in most instances, but I've also seen instances where kids are abused at home, and the only safe spot they have is to come to school. So if you're telling me that I need to notify that parent that that kid is being abused and that kid needs help, and we're going to put them right back in that situation, then that's insane to me. So that's my question.
Thank you very much. Next up on this question is Don Carson.
Okay, I do know that for medical reasons that the parents already have to sign for the medication and stuff like that. So it's already in the books on that. That should be legalized. You don't want your kids to take medication that they shouldn't have to. I do understand if there's an emergency, CPR or EpiPen, that's an important part. We don't want them to die in school. Also, I think that the other thing that's really important is, yes, the parents should know during health class when they're going to have the sex education talk. They need to know. Parents should be able to make the decision if they want their child to be learning from the teacher or learning from them personally. I think that's very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on this topic, Sherry Parsons.
I mentioned before, parental rights are really important to me. I do not believe that the government should be making decisions for our kids. I think parents in general have the best interest of the kids at heart. We shouldn't be teaching our kids some of the sex education things that are being taught. Parents should be saying the grade at which they want their children to learn things. And so, let's see, what was the last one? Medical and gender identity, of course, parents should know. And especially these days when kids don't know what they really want, they just are following trends, that parents should know about it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Parsons. Our second follow-up question in this series is in the area generally of students' rights. We asked if you would support or oppose restricting student cell phone access during the school day and enforcing this district nationwide. Some would contend that a student has a right to have a high-quality education without disruptions, while others might say that the students have a right to have their cell phones in class. Please remind us to your response to this and let us know why you have this position. In this series, Neil McIntyre first.
So this is kind of a sore subject for me because I don't believe cell phones should be in the schools at all. And I'm going to tell you right now, I have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old, and neither one of them have their own cell phones. Because there's no reason that a kid that age needs a cell phone that we don't know as parents where they're at, who they're with, and where they should be at any given time. So, I mean, the short answer is they don't belong in our schools. I mean, these kids, they don't need a phone. They have their personal computers that they're doing most of their schoolwork on, and that's just another form for them to be able to cheat on tests and use it as a tool. I mean, so if as a parent, if you want to buy your kid a cell phone, just have them leave it at home, because if you talk to any teacher, 90% of the problems that happen in their classrooms stem from a cell phone.
Thank you very much. Next in this question, Mr. Phil Cooey, about cell phone access during the school day.
Davis, don't want to steal all your thunder, but at our next board meeting on Tuesday night, we're going to bring up policy EDBB, use of cellular telephones and other electronic devices by students and staff for discussion. What I'm really hoping to do is just kick off discussion, seeing where our parents are on this issue, seeing where our students are, seeing where our teachers and administrators are. Currently, right now, we have 4 schools in the district that have some form of a cell phone policy, not totally consistent. So my hope is to bring that into consistency. One of the policies that I like the most is out at Silverland Middle School in Fernley. I think they have a pretty good handle on it, where they're basically giving the kid the opportunity to have that cell phone on them, but to not use that. If they get caught the first time, they have to put it away. Second time, the teacher takes it till the end of the period. Third time, it goes down to the office for the kid to pick up at the end of school. Fourth time, the parents got to come in and pick it up, and after that, it's going to basically not be allowed at school for a period of time. So,
Thank you very much. Next on this topic, Sherry Parsons.
Basically, I'm against phones in school. There's statistics out that show that as girls go on social media, their depression and anxiety has risen over the years at the same level that all this social media that they're on. So the amount of hours in a day that a girl is on that, her chances for depression and anxiety go up. It's not quite so high for boys, but I don't think boys really are on it as much as girls. But anyways, yeah, I'm against it. At school, entirely, I'm against it. I mean, if they want to, we can have a policy where they bring them and put them in a pouch or something if it worries the parent, them not having it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Parsons. Next on this topic about cell phones in school, Don Carson.
I don't like the kids having cell phones in their classroom. I had it last year, and this year we have no cell phones in the classroom, and students are listening to me. So that's they were always distracted on their cell phone, or if they hear a beep or something like that. Now, if the student is caught with it, it's taken immediately down to the office and the parents have to pick it up. And I think that's what needs to happen with these kids. If we don't get on it immediately with those students, it's going to be a difficult thing. I think we need to keep this classroom distracting free from cell phones. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carson. Next on this topic, James Whistler.
I am for taking cell phones out of the classrooms for the simple fact it does create a distraction when these children have the phones. I know if I was up here playing on my cell phone, you guys really wouldn't like that at all. And I know the teachers don't like it when the kids are doing that. It allows them to have another form of cheating. When I was a kid, I had to cheat the old school way and go to the library and write it on my hand, okay? These kids have a one-up on us. So yes, I would like to see that because I would like to see students paying attention and learning something out there, because if they don't learn, they're going to end up in their mother's basement or something unless mom kicks them out. And I want to avoid that at all costs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whistler. And last on this question for follow-ups, Elmer Bull.
feel that there needs to be restrictions placed on the use of cell phones in our schools. I'm not sure what that program should look like, and I'm very interested to see what comes up at the next school board meeting, the discussion there. Along that lines, I had a conversation with a 32-year educator over in Yerington. I met him down at the gym and was asking him, what he's experienced in school and some of the goods and the bads. And he said that without a doubt, in his 32 years in that same school, everything's constant all the way across. The development and carrying of cell phones in the school has caused more problems than anything else that he's seen. And he says it's led to a lot of the disciplinary issues that are going on in the schools. And that's a key thing in my mind. So I'm definitely in favor of restrictions on that. Not sure what that should look like. I've heard different variations of how that's administered, but we definitely need to keep those cell phones out of the classroom.
Thank you. We had Shauna Schroeder on the list next, but next up is Elmer Bull. And this question is in the area of teachers' rights. We asked if you would support or oppose requiring teachers and staff to use a student's preferred pronouns against their religious convictions. Remind us of your response and then let us know why you have this position.
So I don't feel that a teacher or administrator should be required to use a pronoun that's anything different than what the gender is of that student in front of them.
Thank you very much. Next on this topic, Don Carson. And just to remind, this is about teachers' right and support or oppose requiring teachers and staff to use a student's preferred pronouns against their religious convictions.
I do not think that we should require teachers to choose the pronoun that the students have depending on their fluidity of their gender. So I have learned how to deal with that situation, and teachers should be able to not have to choose to do it if they don't want to.
Thank you very much. Next on this question is Phil Cooey.
Never heard about Lyon County School District, so I don't see the problem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cooey. Please, let's keep the audience sound down. Next on this topic, James Whistler.
If this does become in the future, I am not for making teachers use that. I'm a constitutionalist, and that takes away from everything of their freedom of speech and whatnot. And so I would not force teachers. I would leave that up to the teacher to decide if they prefer or if they would rather do that out of respect for the student asking. And that's where I stand on that.
Thank you very much. Next is Sherry Parsons.
Let's see. I believe that the sex of the student on his birth certificate means something. And so I believe that they should not be in the girls' shower room because they've decided to change their gender that week. I believe that they should be called by the name that they've been called throughout the school years. And that we should, and I do think it has come up in our schools, but it hasn't, we haven't had parents there advocating yet. but that's just my beliefs.
Thank you very much, Ms. Parsons. And last in this series of questions on this topic of preferred pronouns, Neil McIntyre.
Pretty simple. We should not require our teachers to use certain pronouns for these kids. Like I've said before, these are kids, they're already in a confused state at this age, and they're in development stages. So why are we going to aid them, and why would we require our teachers to use certain pronouns? I mean, a kid has a name, just use his name.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate some of the brevity of the answers. We're 3 minutes ahead of schedule. And I'd like to, that concludes our questions. And I'd like to ask Pastor Gary Least to come up and offer a prayer for our candidates in the elections.
All right, thank you. Hey, let's give everybody a hand up here for being here tonight. One of the things that I'm going to ask each of the candidates to do in order to be able to clarify anything that you might have in the way of a question or follow-up, we're going to ask them to still hang out at their tables for just a few minutes afterwards, and maybe the next 10 or 15 minutes, and be able to take and address any follow-up or be able to take and get some clarity on that. But I also want to thank Sherry. What a trooper. She just had surgery, and she's here hobbled up and getting up and down here. That's great. And you didn't have to stand up each time, but you did. So that's amazing. All right, would you guys stand with me for a moment? As we get ready to close, I just want to speak a word of blessing over you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance and grant you peace. I encourage each of you to go in peace. Thank you so much for being here tonight. God bless you all. Make sure you stop by and visit these folks. I'm going to give them a minute to dismiss first, so if you guys want to make your way off the stage and go back out to your tables, as soon as they clear the doors, you guys are dismissed.